Well, I want to first of all acknowledge all of you for jumping on this webinar. It's going to be an absolute incredible experience for you. And basically, what does this come down to? You taking charge of your health, body, and mindset, being very aware of how you can diminish inflammation, how you can take charge of your body. We're going to talk about the power of CBDs, and a huge acknowledgement to all of you. And you're in the right place if you're sick and tired and not feeling good. I can tell you that between myself and the several coaches that we work with in BodyTemple, we talk to hundreds of people every week that are so tired of not feeling good. Maybe you're ready to take your health to another level. Maybe you're in a situation right now where you know something's wrong and you want to take charge of your health. And some of you are like me, you really are focused on preventative. You don't want to get pulled into the medical industry. You want to take charge of your life. You want to be one step ahead. So whoever you are, whatever your reason is for being here, you're in the right place. A little bit about myself. My name is Steve Wiltshire. I'm the founder, the co-founder of BodyTemple. And for the last year and a half, we've been supporting people just like you on how to take charge of their health. I looked over my mic to make sure my mic was on. Okay. And take charge of the health, body, and mindset. And also understand that inflammation is the enemy of the body. And inflammation can create disease in your body. When you learn how to diminish inflammation, you are going to notice that you're going to feel good. You're going to have more energy. And tonight we're going to reveal the top 3 decisions that you can make to diminish your inflammation. And what you really want is you want power, you want progress, and you want purity. Think about it. What does power mean? We live in the sickest country per capita in the world. We have more sick people in the US based on our population than any country in the world. And we want to be fixed. We want the tummy tuck, we want the drug, we want the supplement, we want the treatment. And at the end of the day, you're going to feel your best when you notice that you're making empowering decisions. When you notice that you're making those decisions to work out or diminish your alcohol or diminish your sugar, and you start to see that progress starts happening in your life. And when you start to see that progress start happening, everything's going to change for you. And what's purity? Mind, body, and soul. Noticing that everything that you're putting in your mind and in your body and in your soul is transforming your life. So during this webinar, we're going to reveal the top 3 decisions you can make to diminish your inflammation, and really the most significant decision that you can make. And I was just thinking about how often over the last year and a half, I will have conversations with people about their health. And whether it's a knee replacement, or I just can't tie my shoes, or I feel like I'm completely fatigued, or I don't have the energy. And then I will reveal these 3 areas and help them focus on what I call a wellness plan. And I can't even tell you how many people I've talked to that have said, I need to get a knee replacement. And then they'll take this protocol, these processes that I learned from Sheila Goligly, her products, her processes, her systems. And 3 or 4 months later, that person, these people are walking fluently. They're noticing their knees not bothering them, and then they realize that maybe I don't need a knee replacement. So we're going to record tonight's webinar. We'll be sending out that webinar at some point tomorrow or Friday. And many of you are going to be watching the replay. That's kind of how it happens nowadays. People want instant access. So what I can tell you is that if you have a question and you want that question answered, we have an incredible team at BodyTemple. And all you've got to do is text the number that's in the chat roll. And if you want to write that down, it's 503-380-0814, 503-380-0814. It's our corporate cell, and you just text the number, ask the question, and you'll hear from one of our BodyTemple coaches or one of our team members within the next 24 hours, okay? So hey, if you are live, and still we've got a lot of people listening, but for some reason we don't have a lot of people on the web. So pop on over, watch the webinar. If you're driving, you're probably not watching it anyway. And know that you can go ahead and communicate with us in the Q&A box or text that number. We'll answer your questions, and we'll give out that number throughout the evening. So for some reason you're in activity or you're walking a dog, or we'll take care of you. So we are going to give away a $597 gift. We have an incredible program, online program called Take Charge of Your Health, Body, and Mindset. And this 12-week program was created by myself and international health guru, Tim James. It's a $597 value. You'll have lifetime access to this. You also have an opportunity to do what we call a 2-part wellness coaching session with one of our BodyTemple coaches. And this is how it works. Whether you're texting the number or you are posting in the chat roll, we are going to put you into a drawing for this item. And basically, we're going to use a program called random.com.org, and it will monitor the numbers of times that you posted or text and pick the winner. Okay, so the more you post, the more you text, your questions, the greater your opportunity to win. And any questions you have, go ahead and put those in the Q&A box. We'll handle that towards the end of the webinar. And let's slow down. Let's get real. If there was one area in your health that you wanted significant change, what is that for you? When you think about maybe it's a condition, maybe it's a mindset, maybe it's a choice that you want to make, but what is that one decision that you want to make that would transform your health, that would change your health? And I'm going to tell you, during this interview with Sheila Golligly, she changed my life. I have been an entrepreneur coach for 20 years. I've had a big following, and I love these people. I love to help my members and clients. And I remember the day that my life changed, my inflammation changed, my health changed after having an autoimmune disease that almost killed me almost 8 years ago. And I saw the transformation that happened in me, and I just kept sending people to her company, and all of a sudden watching these serious conditions that people are having start to completely diminish. And what I'm going to tell you is what you're going to hear tonight is going to be life-changing. So the impact that I will tell you that she has made around the globe in the last 7 years has impacted millions of people. She has scientists and doctors and naturopaths and all sorts of professionals reaching out to her that want to know her processes, that want to understand her formulations and the actual systems that she does that help people heal. So you're in the right place if you're sick and tired of not feeling good, or you want to take charge of your health, or you just simply want to be in the game of diminishing the condition of your health and really getting into preventative measures. So you're not going to want to miss a single part of this. Get in the moment, step out of social media, really dive into the interview, because you're going to hear a lot that's going to really change your life. And like I said, what you really want is you want that power, you want that progress, you want the purity. I know 8 years ago, my life completely changed when I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. I remember when this specialist said, "I think you have MS. There's a pretty big chance you have MS." And I thought, me? Healthy me? And then it was prostate cancer. And I thought, you got to be kidding me. And these tests kept coming back negative. And then all of a sudden, my gut just completely quit. And I was plagued with this serious yeast infection that I couldn't get rid of. And looking at my life from the outside, I was probably one of the healthiest individuals people knew. I looked completely healthy. I had always been healthy, but I hired a naturopath and I hired a trainer to do a couple of bodybuilding shows, natural bodybuilding shows. And I was on so many supplements. They gave me energy. They made me feel good. I thought everything was absolutely ideal. I'm a person that hires experts to help me in every arena of my business and life. And then all of a sudden, 2 years later, I just continue this regimen and I end up getting really sick. Now, here's what I didn't know. I didn't know that 92% of the supplements on the marketplace had chemicals in them. I had no idea. I had no idea that 80% of these products in the marketplace were owned by the big pharma a pharmacy. I had no idea. And I remember thinking, I am so naive. How did I not understand that? It's like I was replacing food for supplements. And when I got sick and decided I wanted to heal myself, like my wife, who healed herself from cancer, third stage breast cancer, I remember saying, what am I going to do? How do I do this? What do I do? And after about 2 years of really focusing on my health and going to 3 experts, I was able, and $20,000 later, I was able to completely transform my health, but I could not get rid of this inflammation. This inflammation was so bad. In fact, I'm going to show you some pictures. I'm going to show you, do a screen share right now. And here I am on this, looking back and seeing the pictures of me. I had so much inflammation in my body. So I'd always been a really lean person and always looked really cut, but I could not get rid of this inflammation. So here's me at 49 and here's me at 54. And I completely changed my inflammation levels by simply going through this protocol with Sheila Galgley. And tonight you're going to hear what those top 3 areas are. And I remember how I felt. I remember thinking, my relationships were compromised through my health. My business was compromised. I had to really cut back, and it was like 2 years of struggle. And I think that there's this thinking in our country, especially, it's never going to happen to me. And when you go down the pharmaceutical movement and you have that choice, what happens is one pharmaceutical drug can take care of one area and then it compromises another area. Then you try to take care of that area, then it compromises another area. And it's like this mobile that starts to go south, and then all of a sudden one side is hanging, and it's really risky business. And that's why I say what you want at the end of the day, you want pure products, but you want power to make really wise decisions. And then you want to feel that progress. And what I can tell you is, my life's different now. I don't have to be so narrow. And some of you that are listening to me right now, you want preventative measures. And you want to just prevent any disaster or challenge coming into your life. Some of you, there's something wrong with your body. You're diminished. Your energy's diminished. You don't feel right. Your tests are coming back negative. Your doctor's saying, I don't know what's going on. Your tests look fine. You're going to be fine. And you're manifesting. And then some of you have a condition. And some of you, it may be in the autoimmune category. And what I've learned about autoimmune disease, it's not a disease, it's a condition. You can make these changes. So on the high end, we have MS, and on the low end, we have celiac. And you can actually transform your health and that condition. But the deeper the challenge or the condition, the narrow the lifestyle. And we're going to talk about that tonight. So I want you to imagine it's 12 weeks from now. And you're looking back at your life and you're noticing over the last 12 weeks, going into the 3rd month, people are saying, you look great. And you're thinking, I feel great. And people are saying, there's something different about you. And you're thinking, I feel great. And you're noticing that you have more energy and you're not having to work at it, or you don't feel that depression and that anxiety anymore, or you want to work out, or you want to run, or you want to move. And some of you that are older and that you're listening to this webinar, you're watching the webinar or the replay, you think you got to go to the gym. You don't need to go to the gym. You just need to learn to move. And I know when you really know what Body Temple is all about, we started a philanthropic movement to help people on what we call the front end and the back end. So the back end are the products and the things that you can take that are going to transform your health. But on the front end, those are choices that you can make. And I know when we work with people, we help people, we give our time, we actually focus on these 8 areas. We take them through this process of identifying, what has worked in the past? What is your meal plan going to look like? What are you drinking as far as water? Are you hydrated? Are you getting sleep? Do you have a exercise regimen? Are you doing treatments like acupuncture or chiropractic? And we help them. So this is what we're about. And I really want to acknowledge you for taking the time to be here tonight. So when we think about really what's happening in our country and around the world. We had $900 billion of pharmaceutical sales last year. That is a problem. It's a money-making problem. We had 1.7 million cases of cancer in 18 over 17. We had an 18% increase in autoimmune disease. And by far the greatest disease on the planet, many of you won't think it is, but it is. It's 1.2 billion people suffering from depression and anxiety. And it's worse through pharmaceutical drugs. So tonight, all of that's going to be revealed. So it's time to step into our interview with international inflammation expert and CBD expert Sheila Galgley. You're not going to want to miss a single word. I am so moved by the thousands of people that we have sent to Sheila that have their lives have been impacted. Her processes, her programs, her systems, her protocols, they have transformed the world. And when you hear why and what happened to her almost 10 years ago that changed her life, completely stopped life for her, you realize that I call her, and very few people, a purist. She's a person that truly wants to make a difference. She's a self-taught, thought out, respected world educator on inflammation and CBDs. She's impacted so many lives. Sheila, I want to welcome you to our interview. Let's do this, my friend. So excited that you're here. Turn your video on. There you go, girl. She's even out of town. And if you knew, I mean, this woman is up at 3 o'clock in the morning. She'll go as late as she can, but usually it means about 9:30. She's on the road right now. And for her to take the time and be here tonight, I want you to know from the bottom of my heart how much I really appreciate that. So glad you're here. I think you're muted. There we go. Here we go. There you are.
Oh, okay.
I got you. It's me.
Happy to be here, my friend. And I have to tell you what a blessing and beautiful journey this is to be a part of your Body Temple team. It means a lot because back when we started a couple of decades ago, we were literally on our own. We didn't have a life coach. We didn't have a Body Temple team to take us through these initial onsets of what could become a catastrophic health issue. And so thank you so much also for helping us to achieve optimum health, because it takes a lot of understanding, and the studies that we've done together has made it come to fruition. So thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Honey, your integrity, your wisdom, your experience. I'll never forget the time I walked in your office. So here I live in Portland and she lives in Phoenix. And now it was, Payson, I remember walking in your office and I saw these like numbers and formulations that looked like geometry. And I'm like, what is this? And she said, I've been studying all of these diseases and conditions, and people are changing. Their health is completely changing. And I remember not really completely understanding it, but being so curious about it. And then I remember the first time I had a conversation with a client and I said, how are you doing today? And she said, oh, I just got an awful diagnosis. And I said, well, what happened? And she's like, I have Lyme's disease and I don't know how to get rid of it. And then I sent one of your reps. I sent her to one of your reps. And then months later, their health was changing. And then I just kept sending people. And I could go on. Let's dive into this. So let's talk about why you're so passionate about health, and especially diminishing inflammation, the purity of products, and then how CBD started to come into existence for you and your journey. And I want to rewind time to 10 years ago. So here you are having a dream life, a multi-million-dollar business. You're giving back in every arena. The amount of money and the difference that you've made on this planet is outstanding. You've always lived from this premises of do the right things for the right reason. And then your life almost stops. You're in a head-on collision, drunk driver, illegal immigrant. They say you're paralyzed, you're never going to walk again, or most likely you're not going to walk again. How did this whole, talk about that journey and how this whole journey began?
Yeah, that was a big part of my investigating deeper into anti-inflammation. I was hit by a drunk driver. It makes me still well up. I broke C3 all the way down to T2, but C4 was lodged in my spinal cord. So I was paralyzed from the neck down. So when you say screeching halt, it doesn't come to any faster halt than that. So for 8 days, I was in a coma. I didn't come out of it. But when I did, eventually, I was paralyzed from the neck down. They had already done all these fusions in my spine with the plates and the pins and the screws. And then they flipped over my body and rebuilt the whole front of my neck with a cadaver body. And with that, laying in a hospital bed, I was there for almost a year, paralyzed on the right-hand side from the neck down. And talk about humility. I mean, my family's just such a blessing. My daughter would drive 2 hours down the mountain and feed me and bathe me for the whole time that I was paralyzed. I got out of the hospital about a year later, but I was still in a wheelchair. I was still paralyzed from the neck down. So I had already been studying CBDs, years prior to that. So I knew that there was a solution here. I knew that I had so much inflammation on my body, I couldn't move. And so I started trying CBDs. In fact, I spent a couple $100 on a bottle of 500 milligrams, and I kept taking it, and it just made things worse because it wasn't doing anything. And I had done all these studies and research knowing it was supposed to. And then I did another bottle, and I spent another $200 and nothing. So I'm figuring that my endocannabinoid system is just too compromised. And I'm here to lay for the rest of my life paralyzed from the neck down. My girlfriend Brenda at the time owned a lab down in Phoenix, and I sent the bottle off to her. And it wasn't the CBD, it was the company that was putting money over medicine. And when they tested it, there was only 20 milligrams of CBD in the bottle, where it had been advertised, falsely advertised as being 500. The second bottle I sent to her, it didn't have any in it at all. So that was the onset where we actually started with the laboratory and formulating for other people, because I knew the science behind it, because I'd studied it prior, but yet it wasn't working for me. To come to find out, it was because these people that are out there are importing synthetic molecules from China. They're about a penny a piece, and they're dumping it in a bottle of fat and sugar and refined materials, which is exacerbating all of the symptoms. So it wasn't my endocannabinoid system that was compromised. It were the people out there that are trying to put gain on the consumer, and the consumer's at a loss. So that's part of my mission now, is to make sure that the right things are done for the right reason, and the medicine is put before the money, and to help get the word out that you can't just go to a smoke shop and buy CBDs. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, you became this obsessed person with wanting to understand why it worked. And I remember you would say, I get up at 3:30, 4 in the morning, and I study it for 3 hours, 6 days a week. And you wanted to know, you really wanted to heal. And I remember, many of you don't know, but she has the business used to be huge, called Global Media. And she ended up creating her own formulation to heal herself. And she would just be out and about talking to a lot of stars, a lot of actually singers and people in her business. And she'd hear them going through something, and she just would say, here's a bottle, try this. Here's a bottle, try this. This is going to help. And, but it became this obsession for you to understand CBDs. And tell us more about that journey and how it's transformed your life and ended up supporting and helping millions of people.
I'm a firm believer in faith in the universe. I believe that things come together. Previous to my being hospitalized, being hit by the illegal drunk driver with no resources. I had lost my father the year before that. And this journey that I've been on started actually with him, you see, because he was went in for routine surgery, and he came out almost 8 months to the day later, but they had amputated both of his legs because gangrene set into his feet. So long story short, he was already addicted to morphine because they were feeding his arms full of it every day, day in, day out. By the time we were able to get him back home, I became his caregiver. And now, not knowing narcotic drugs and how people know more about it today than they did 18 years ago when we were going through this, but he literally died not because of the 8 months of struggling that he went through, but because he was overprescribed opioids.
So many people are.
And so that started the journey back then. But I can tell you, through that journey, I was very blessed because I came to find out that I was attracting or manifesting scientists, not just here in the United States, but in New Zealand and Germany, and building these algorithms coming together, following the studies in the University of Israel with Dr. Raphael Mishula, and with all of these scientists and neurosurgeons coming together, and again, everybody doing the right things for the right reasons. We've been able to build over the last 2 decades an algorithm that can help each individual person with whatever their chronic diagnosis might be, whether it's fibromyalgia or just migraine headaches, from A to Z pretty much. And we've been able to watch that progress over the last almost 2 decades.
Well, didn't your first jury, I mean, you've known the governor, you knew the governor way back when of Arizona, and you were, you wanted to administrate in these private children hospitals, because these children, some of them were having over 100 seizures a day, right? And they could not stop these seizures. And you were in there stopping those seizures instantaneously.
Yes, actually, we have a 99% success rate on epileptic seizure gene mutation. And I am one of only 2 public members that was appointed at the time to the Naturopathic Medical Board of Examiners by the former governor of the state of Arizona, Jan Brewer. So through caregivers, we were able to stop these children that actually were clustering in their brain 300 seizures a day, actually self-induced comas, and phenobarbital, Keppra, Ativan, and these little itty bitty babies. So
well, it just keeps going. I mean, on a lighter note, congratulations on getting the Jack Herer Award in Las Vegas for the pure CBD oil salve in the U.S. and one of the top 5 formulators in the U.S. And I know you don't like a lot of acknowledgement, but I have to throw that out. You don't like the spotlight on you, as usual. That's a big deal.
It is, and I'm very humbled by it, because when we set out to do something for humanity and have a philanthropy program going like we do, that's what we do it for. I guess icing on the cake, if you will, to be able to be blessed with an award like that. But yes, very humbling, and it's very do the right things for the right reasons and get rewarded for it.
You know, I just had dinner with Robin Bergener, who's someone that you've worked with for 14 years, and 4th stage cancer, his PSA over the top. And to see that man and how healthy he is, and BodyTemple helped him on the front end, sprouts, green drinks, diminishing the sugar, the whole bit. But your work with him has transformed his health. I mean, his PSA level is below normal, which is how they tell the PSA level, for all those of you that don't know, is really the prostate levels when they're over the top. That's why they get prostate cancer. I can't believe how amazing he looks. What's it been like for you to have so many people with serious health conditions? I mean, I know at least 100 that I have sent to True Balance that you have worked with and supported. And what's that like?
Well, actually now we have over 30,000 case studies scientific cases in vivo and in vitro with different diagnoses that were very successful. And I can tell you right now, if you would have said that to me two decades ago, almost 20 years ago, I don't know that I would have believed it. But being able to see women come into my office and that are young, that have fibromyalgia, they can't comb their hair, they can't feed their children because they're free radicals and misfiring, and their central nervous system is out of whack. And to be able to have them come back in crying a week later because they can hold their children now and they can bathe and become a human being and go back to work. We've had that happen with lupus. I've had people that have come in that couldn't go to work, couldn't go to their kids' ball games because they can't be in the sunlight, that are full-blown 2 years remission, if you will. We've had people, I call it from hospice to home. We've had a lot of patients, unfortunately, they wait till it's too late and they have to go through a much longer process. That's why preventative is so important with cannabidiol and with BodyTemple's program that you have going on. It's so much cheaper and easier to have the preventative up front than to wait till you're in hospice to see if you can come back home. I mean, wait for to be under the knife of a surgeon and then have to worry about that too. It's preventative. It's all about preventative medicine, and it's all natural now. And then guidance to have it behind it is just.
The industry started pure. What I love about your work and then my work with Tim James, you two are what I call purists. And, for Tim, his best friend came to him 10 years ago and said, I have 3 months to live. And his whole life changed. He didn't even know he was going to go down this path. But now there's so many products on the line, just like supplements that have chemicals in them. And I'll never forget Tim actually taking me into a supplement store with a microglass, and looking at all these supplements. And he's saying, let me tell you about this product. Let me tell you about this product. He came over and looked at some of the products that I was taking. I'm going back, when I got sick, and he talked about what this chemical really, really meant. Why is it so dangerous now? People, I kind of joke about this with clients. I'm just saying, you don't know if you're taking parasites or if you're taking, it's almost like the CBD oil is somewhat contaminated to some degree, right? Talk more about that.
It's contaminated more than you even know. It's to the point now where it's so sad because people are just randomly jumping on the proverbial bandwagon because they know that it's could be a potential moneymaker, and it's in every stinking gas station now. I saw a sign outside of a Jiffy Lube saying, get your oil changed and your CBD oil. It's like, wow.
Scary.
But it is very scary because what's happening is that they're suspending it in glycerin, which is a byproduct of biodiesel. They're suspending it in MCT, which is medium chain triglyceride. And can you imagine if somebody with diabetes were to go in and not know what the CBD was suspended in? Your CBDs are only as good as what it's suspended in. And you know for sure when you get it seed that it's suspended in pure protein from seed. No sugar, no fat, vegan friendly. These companies that are suspending in these cheap solubles are exacerbating symptoms. It's not a question of if they do, it's a question of when they do. And I have seen little children go from just a myoclonic tic into a full-blown grand mal seizure like that because the parent, not with malice, people are just uneducated. And I can tell you, if you pick up a CBD and you don't know what it's suspended in, it will exacerbate symptoms. MCT. Any GI issues, if you have them, they will exacerbate. If you don't have them, you will. You're not meant to drink oil. You wouldn't go in and start drinking a jug of coconut oil or olive oil in your kitchen. There's a purpose for stuff like that. If you have high cholesterol and high triglycerides, why would you take a CBD that was suspended in it? And then listen, they've got all these flavors out there. Well, good for them. Who's going to take you, in order for a CBD to be effective, you have to maintain it under the tongue or sublingual for a minimum of 2 minutes. And if you have cinnamon or mint and you put it underneath your tongue, how long do you think you can hold that for? Certainly it will burn. So, when you have gluten-free vanilla bean powder, then that makes it just that much more soothing and pleasant. And you actually get your money out of the medicine instead of you're getting your money's worth because it works. When you suspend in mint and cinnamon and things like this, you have to swallow it sooner, so you have to buy more. And it's just a vicious cycle. It's just a marketing ploy for the consumer to fall into this hole to get them to buy more CBD and probably not even suspended in what it's supposed to be in.
Did you read that article or hear that newscast of all those people in Vegas, hundreds that got sick from pesticides?
And dogs are dying. In Nevada, they literally made all dispensaries cease all sales of CBD in the dispensaries because it was killing animals. I'm not going to say the name of that company, but they're going to be blown in here in a week or two.
So talk about the power of pure CBDs. What makes a CBD product pure? And why suspended in protein is important? Well,
so pure is, that's kind of says it all in itself. But what's really important is a couple of things. Not just what it's suspended in and what it's flavored with, but also how it's extracted. So let's CBD, and what they're doing also is they're using, you were talking about the chemicals. Well, that's because they extract it with ether and butane and all of these chemicals. And they say, oh, well, we wash it.
Well, give you a shot of butane, guys?
Yeah, right. That's what, right alongside the CBD molecule. See, the lipid, CBD is a lipid, and it's a super large molecule. So there's no way you could wash all the chemical off because the chemical molecules are smaller than the CBD molecule. So I don't care how many times you wash it. If you wash it 4 times, you're going to wash the CBD right out of there.
Yeah.
So people are ingesting butane and ether and arsenic and all these things, and it's like, and they're not being tested or held accountable for it because they're taking one bottle into the lab and hand pouring it, getting the lab results they want or have to have for the state of whatever state they're in. And then they're publishing those results. And then they go back to their manufacturing facility is what we're finding out. And just making them in the cheap soluble, the cheap synthetic molecule from China, extracting it with ether instead of critical CO2, which is the healthy way to extract, which is what BodyTemple does. So you've got to be so careful because they're out to there's placebos and they're masking the healthy side of CBD. If it's $35, there's a reason it's $35.
Right.
The other thing that you really need to be mindful of is being able to absorb it. And I don't know if anybody that's watching has ever taken a B complex and you take it and it goes in one end and out the other, neon yellow.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't absorbed in your body. It doesn't absorb. You have to have a technology to get that compound to absorb into your system.
Right.
And the CBDs that we're talking about today is gone through a process called liposomal technology. And to give you an idea, and I hope you can see this, I'm going to put these little people up here. Can you see that? Liposomal.
Higher.
Higher?
Perfect.
Liposomal is the delivery method now that we use from medical research. It's the newest technology to transfer compounds that act as promoters. So now you would buy one bottle, you see, it's called bioavailability. And when you buy one bottle of Exceed, that is like buying anywhere from 6 to 10 bottles of that other brand that might be sitting right next to it that's half the price, when in fact this bottle will go 6 to 10 times further because it can be absorbed in the system. So it's more benefit, less money, healthier for the entire physiology overall.
I remember the first time I bought my first bottle from you, and I didn't know what to think. Remember how apprehensive I was because of the whole, I got sick off chemicals and supplements. And of course I trust you and I've known you for years and watched this whole transformation in your life, right? And then I hired this concierge. I could see it in my face. I mean, even my gray went away. My face started tightening up. My veins started coming back in my body. I started feeling energetic again. And then I hired this concierge doctor because I didn't want to be plugged into the medical world. And she's a blood expert, and she's a doctor, naturopath, but she's also a lecturer for blood. And she looked at my panels when I got my blood panels back, and she's like, oh my God, I have never seen anyone, even in their 40s, with you're 52, with this, your inflammation levels are amazing. And I said, well, it wasn't that way 5 years ago. And she was blown away. And it's this little bottle right here that I've taken. Yeah, talk about that. You just told me you need 25 milligrams in your body. And this is what bothers me. I never hear this. I never read this. I hardly ever see anything about 25 milligrams in the body once every day. And then you'll go to a dispensary or a CBD store. I just kind of be hanging out, asking some questions. And what I think is interesting, they'll tell you that you can take as much as you want, but you can't really absorb that much sublingually. And that's the integrity behind your company. Talk about that.
Well, like you said, it's all about prevention and keeping on top of that. But I want to touch a little bit on the inflammation part of it and why 25 milligrams keeps it at. There's an inflammation test that we do. It's called CRP, C-reactive protein, that tells us how much inflammation you are. Somebody that might have RA or rheumatoid arthritis. But you talk about inflammation being the biggest culprit, and it is. And we ask ourselves why, because a lot of this stuff was not here 20 years ago when we started.
Right.
About the food we've got all the sugars and the refined leaky gut syndrome and stuff that's going on, the inflammation in the gut. We're talking all about that little bottle that you have can do all of those things. And I'd like to tell you that inflammation doesn't have to just be in the spine, or if you have a traumatized area, we know that's inflammation. We know that's causing things. But what about your central nervous system? People leave that out. And I'm telling you, when I was in the hospital, there was a lot of depression, anxiety, and stress. And that's lack of blood flow. CBD will stimulate blood flow and bone growth and stuff like this. But let's not be so naive to think that it's just about the body, the face, the skin, but it goes so much deeper than that. So anybody that is on here that might be having some anxiety issues and stuff like I did, the N1 neuron stimulates the pituitary gland that allows the serotonin to release through your body. And it goes from the very top and it cascades through your entire physiology. So when you've got chronic biological infections, that's one thing. But you have to also remember that the immune inflammation, our physiology needs to have balance. It has to have forces of inflammation and forces of anti-inflammation. So if you have the inflammation going on that is an immune inflammation, you're talking about something that might be rheumatoid arthritis, which that little bottle will help. Irritable bowel disorder, lupus, thyroid disorder. Exceed will help those things. Anything that has to do with skin, that's an autoimmune disorder. That will help with that as well. But the brain or the central nervous system, you might be even having something as simple as maybe brain fog. You walk in, it's like, what did I walk in this room for? What did I forget? Little moments like that. But that's actually inflammation in your central nervous system.
Yes.
That little bottle will help. So ADD, ADHD, anxiety, and even people that have insomnia. So when you talk about that little bottle, there's a lot of power in that little bottle.
Talk about your salve. Everybody loves the salve. I looked at Robin, his wife is so grateful for you, us. She lost their child is 19 now. And when she was 18, her mom passed away. And I remember the first time I met her, she said, please save my husband.
Oh,
my husband, but his skin looked so amazing. And he goes, I put the salve right all over my face. He's like,
yeah,
I remember, I mean, it is amazing, right? It smells so amazing.
I know. And
Now talk about, because this was like the award-winning salve. I can't really even believe you actually formulated for me. You know, when I think about it, and this is how brilliant she is, everybody. I went to her and I said, can you like create a formulation? Yeah, I mean, I know CBDs are diminish inflammation and the oil and the salve, but I really have a heart for people that deal with depression and anxiety. I used to have so much anxiety. I had no idea it was part of the reason a lot of people have gut issues until I started studying with Sheila. But yeah, talk about your salve and talk about all the constituents that you put in your product and why it got the Jack Herrera Award in Vegas last year.
I know it's funny to me now. It's not really funny, but it's you hear about all of these other products on the shelf, and they're all these topicals because that's what they are. They're topicals. Yeah. They sit on top of your skin because they have beeswax in it. Because they use beeswax, they can ship it. But what's the point of putting wax on your skin when it doesn't penetrate? That's why they're called topicals. True, the derm.
Can't digest it.
The derm is not a topical, it's a transdermal. So it's made again. CBDs are only as good as what they're suspended in. And the derms have a soluble that has a kilodalton. A kilodalton is a molecular weight measurement. What that means is the molecule that carries all of the constituents or medications can carry, it's so big it can drive all four of them right into the bloodstream. So it doesn't sit on top, it goes transdermal. That's the technology that's behind that product. So you get immediate relief. So I like to say that the derm works from the outside in, and the oil works from the inside out. Remember that when you're dealing with the CBD and the inflammation, these chronic diagnoses that you may have or preventative, CBDs are a binding effect, not a blocking effect. So let's say, for an analogy, let's say that my left hand here is the receptors. So CB1 and CB2 receptors are all through your central nervous system, your immune system, and your immune organs. So here's your receptors right here. CB1, CB2, all the receptors here. Here comes your synthetic drugs in for the receptor because they're supposed to come in, say, an oxycodone, a Tylenol, a sleeping pill, whatever it is, whatever synthetic drug it is. Comes into your body, and it blocks these receptors. That's its job. It's supposed to block them to make your brain think that it's not in pain or it's supposed to go to sleep. What happens, though, is that other little nerve endings start popping out the sides of these, and then you have to have more. So you see you have to increase your prescription, and you have to take more, and then they just stop working altogether because no more can come out, you can't take anymore, or it's your max dose from your primary care physician. Interestingly enough, after that happens, the reverse effect happens right after that. This happens with drugs that are for depression and everything else too. So once those receptors are to their max, induced analgesia, hyperanalgesia sets in, and they start doing the exact opposite effect that you're taking them for. So i.e.,
wow.
You're taking them for pain, you're going to be in more pain over a number of years. Difference now. So now we've got the blocking effect from the synthetic drug.
Mm-hmm.
How come your cannabinoids? Your natural cannabinoids that God gave you anyway, they're in your body, you already have them. So instead now of them coming into your receptor, it doesn't block them, it starts bridging the gap in the deficiencies in bringing everything back into normal range or dynamic balance, homeostasis. So it doesn't block them, it bridges the gap in the deficiencies and brings your system back into dynamic balance. It's not putting a Band-Aid on it, it's making you healthy again, coming back together.
Let's show them. Let's go ahead and pop on here and take a look at, here we go. Where am I going? Am I going here? Am I going here? Got a couple things, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and first of all, if you have a question for Sheila, go ahead and post your question in the Q&A box. Also know if you are actually listening, so we still have about 180 of you that are listening, you can go ahead and text that number, and I will go ahead and ask her the question via the text. And so we're going to step into the Q&A in just a few minutes. We're going to talk about the second and third thing that you can do to diminish your inflammation. First being obviously CBDs. And let's talk a little bit about this. So imagine where you might be in 12 weeks if you started to notice what she said. She said, I'm going to say back end and front end, meaning what can you do? What can you do through your choices to diminish your inflammation, take charge of your health? And then what can you do on the back end, which is products that help you, right? Supplements, anything that you can do to help your health. But imagine looking back in 12 weeks, and that's what we do here. We just focus on 12 weeks. What could you do in the next 12 weeks to take charge of your health, body, and mindset? Imagine looking good. Imagine feeling good. Imagine noticing that you're saying no to things that aren't serving you. Imagine your energy starting to increase. Imagine people saying, you look great. You look different. What's going on with you? It looks like you have so much energy. Imagine getting your blood work back and your doctor, naturopath, is saying, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Imagine that. So looking back, these are the two products that really made a significant difference. Talk about Exceed. Talk about your talk about why we actually created this 1 ounce. I went to Sheila and I said, you know, all these people that are on this product, what's the simplest way to get 25 milligrams? And she said, put 500 milligrams in a 1 ounce bottle. And I know you can't really talk about the actual formulation of the product, but talk about the difference it makes and why 500 milligrams in a 1 ounce bottle.
That's part of the whole 30-day supply. In order to be effective, you need to have a repeating total. And when you administer the 500 milligrams in a 1 ounce bottle, it comes out to be about 17 milligrams per milliliter. So that means if you administer your 1 milliliter in the morning or half in the morning, half in the day, however you want to do that, and use a little bit of the infuse, you're right there with your 25 milligrams a day. You don't need to have 1,500 milligrams in your bottle or 5,000 milligrams in your bottles. That's another point to get you to spend more money when you don't need to. 500 milligrams gives you your 30-day supply with your 25 milligrams, repeating total. Every day. So that's all you need. You don't need.
I notice, you know, it's interesting with, you know, having two product lines and also even friends that going back in the day and they'll say to me, how do you stay in such great shape? And I'll have questions, I'll have conversation with them, and they're just not consistent at taking their products. And so what we started to do, we send out their instruction sheet. We say, turn this into a little 2-minute meditation, 3-minute meditation in the morning. Keep your Exceed and Infuse on your nightstand. Wake up, put a fourth of a dropper under your tongue, whatever, and just meditate. Think about all the things you're grateful for. Go into gratitude meditation, but just being able to just take it in the morning and take it in the evening. So these are the two products that she formulated. And I know by the way, we're going to send you this resource, and this resource is amazing. We actually sent you an email prior to this webinar, and you'll notice that there's a link leading you to this actual page, and there's a couple of really great videos from her for you to review, some incredible testimonies. When we started Body Temple, we thought, what would make us unique? What do we want to be known for? And I thought to myself, imagine going into a dispensary or going into a CBD store and wanting to inquire about CBDs. And then they say, well, this is what we have. And if you want a really high-end product, you're going to want to try the Body Temple brand. And they're very unique. And why are they unique? Because they have these coaches and they have this customer care team. And they reach out, they find out what you want, they answer your questions, They even have this 12-week Take Charge of Your Health, Body, and Mindset online program. They want to help you within 12 weeks to transform your health. So not only are they supporting you on the front end, there's the back end, they're supporting you on the front end. So we designed the Body Temple brand and the product. We wanted to create a whole program that would make it ideal, where you have access to coaches, you have access to our customer care team. We have resources beyond anything that you can even imagine. And so tonight we have a very special offer that goes on 30 minutes after, between now and 30 minutes after the webinar. If you're watching the replay, you'll probably see the countdown clock. And right now you can save 25% by getting a 1-month supply of the Infuse and Exceed. And also we have a 3-month supply. The bottom line is, if you were on the products for 12 weeks, you're going to notice a significant difference. But what we decided to do differently is we have this 12-week program that's a $597 value. And we usually give that to a customer that purchases a 3-month supply. And we decided we want to give you an opportunity to experience Body Temple. Not only experience the product, but also experience us supporting you in many different ways. Just like we supported Barbara. She had been on so many prescription drugs. It just started with the back surgery and continued down that path. And she was so unhealthy. I seriously don't even know how she made it into her late 70s. But now, being on the Body Temple product, it has like transformed her life. She had just recently talked about reading a 600-page book, I think Hillary Clinton's book, in a matter of a week. Like she says, my focus, I have not felt this good in the last 35 years. It totally changed her life. So we have a couple of opportunities for you tonight. Everyone that purchases the 1-month package, you'll get our 12-week program, Take Charge of Your Health, Body, and Mindset. It's a $597 value. And you'll see that actually the prices ends up the same for a 3-month supply, just like the 12-week program. So meaning if you got a 3-month supply product, it ends up being $597, and you save 20% on that. And we have a 3 easy payment program. But you, for just a 1-month order, you end up with the 12-week program. And this is what you get. You end up with access to our exclusive private Body Temple library. Contains 12 life-changing trainings on the 12 greatest decisions you can make to transform your health, body, and mindset. And these 12 trainings are 9 to 22 minutes. And every Monday, you'll get an email. You'll have access to the program. Let me just kind of give you a taste of what the library looks like. You start off with a welcome video to get you going. You get a study guide. You download the study guide to get your very own study guide. Your trainers are myself and Tim James. He's absolutely amazing. Sheila and Tim are my go-to for extreme health. And there's 12 trainings. Decide what you want. Know you're worth it. Make a commitment. Believe it into existence. 3 simple habits that change everything. You are what you put in your body. Exercise will give you vitality and longevity. Chemical-free supplements are a must. And then the last 6 weeks, learn how to drive out the toxins. Choose environments to support the new you. I'm not doing too good, am I? Pulling this down. Where are we? So it's all right there. Choose your experts carefully. Meditation and relaxation merges mind, body, and soul. Give your body the gift of wellness treatments and live in the mindset of a champion. What's so great is you have access to talk to a Body Temple coach, and we're here to support you along the way. We do have a bonus for those of you that decide to take advantage of the 3-month program. You can either pay in full or you can do a 3-month payment program. And basically, we're going to give you a $60 rebate. So what will happen if you do the 3-month program and you pay in full, we're going to send you a check for $60. If you do the 3-month program and you decide to do 3 monthly payments, we'll send you a $20 check. So not only we get the 12-week program, you get a little kickback for giving it a try. And the most exciting news of all is we have a 30-day money-back guarantee. And I feel like it disappeared here. I think we updated our page, but we have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So there's no loss. So we're going to go into this last section and answer your questions. And any questions you have, go ahead and post those in the Q&A box. And this is going to end in 30 minutes. At 7:30, you'll notice that the 12-week program will end. And Brian, do you want to go ahead and add that link? If you go into your email, you should have gotten an email 30 minutes prior to the webinar with the offer and a reminder. And if you want to write this down, you can go right to the URL, which is go.bodytemple.com/transformation package. go.bodytemple.com/transformation-package. But Brian's going to go ahead and post that in the chat roll. If you text the number 503-380-0814, maybe you can post that as well. I forget, those of you that are actually listening, you can text the number and we'll text you the registration page. But most likely, 99% of you actually got it in the email that was sent to you 30 minutes prior to the webinar. You'll notice an instruction sheet. We ship the next day. Your product will go out the next day. People say, I can't believe how quick we get our product. And you're going to hear from a Body Temple coach. That's how we operate. We're going to find out what questions you have. The service is going to be absolutely over the top because that's who we are and that's what we do. And going to take the screen share off. Come back, Sheila. Yeah, we're going to reach out to you, find out if you have any questions. This is what your oil is going to look like right here. It tastes so good. I've had people that have actually been on previous CBD oils and they're like, oh my gosh, it tastes so terrible. Or what you said earlier, I haven't tried anything else, so I don't get burning the tongue thing. And this gal said, and it's cinnamon. I thought it was going to taste so good and it burnt my tongue. My tongue felt like I had burped for 2 days, Crazy, right? Okay, so any questions, go ahead and post. Michael's hanging out with us. I love Michael. Awesome. Glad that you're here. Awesome. Well, let's, so we talked about the 30-day money-back guarantee. You know what I think? Okay, I forgot to say this. I need to say this, that FDA has a guideline when you sell a product that you can't guarantee any claims. You can't put out any claims. What I find interesting, I don't really take pharmaceutical drugs, nor have I ever, but I can't believe how many people I've talked to in the last year and a half that have noticed on their pharmaceutical drug that they get, it says, may cause death.
Oh, I know. And it
The first time I heard that, I thought, and then I kept hearing it, and I researched it, and like 82% of pharmaceutical drugs say may cause death. So the FDA says any statements that we make have not been evaluated by the FDA and intended to diagnose or treat or cure, but we have a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's the good news, right? All right. So, hey, Sheila, let's chat for a little bit. So we know the first decision you can make to diminish your inflammation is 25 milligrams of CBDs in your body. The second decision that you can make is you want to sweat. You want to sweat. In fact, Sheila and I were talking earlier, setting up, and she said, I just got out of my sauna. And you sweat. You can sweat 3 different ways. Some of you that are in, I have worked with patients and clients that have had, they have issues with overheating. And you can do what's called a charger bath, where you can actually sweat in hot water with some peppermint oil, essential oil, and some lavender and some sea salt, or actually get what's called human peroxide. You talk to a Body Temple coach when they reach out, you can ask them, we've got a whole regimen. You sweat 2 ways. You sweat externally, you sweat internally. So when you're in a sauna, you're going to sweat internally. When you sweat externally, it's like running or cardio or going for a hike. But I'm going to tell you, it is the secret to youth. When I think about 5-6 days a week, I've gotten to a point where I can massively sweat in 10 minutes. And I've had a lot of females say to me, well, I just don't sweat. And I go, that's not good news.
Yeah.
You need to sweat. We need to sweat. We need to get rid of the toxins. And the third decision that you can make to diminish your inflammation is to actually completely diminish sugar. And that means diminishing flour. That means diminishing wheat. And when you talk to a Body Temple coach, we can set you up on a whole process and a program. That's what we're here to do. So, Sheila, I want to have this. I want you to say this because I can't believe how many people I talk to that I want to play this part of the webinar that have been, or they work for the airlines or they work for the government and they're just paranoid about the testing. Now, I've actually had a couple of clients that I've worked with or customers that have said, bring the product in, get the product, I'll refund you, bring the product in, have them run a test on the product.
It's a really good question. It is a good question. And we get it a lot too because people get the whole thing confused. Look, it's molecules. You can't, it would be saying, it's peanut butter and jelly. There's CBN, CBG, CBC, CBD, and D9. D9 is the THC. Yeah. Completely different molecules. So if the D9 is not in it, you can't test positive. It's not present there. And even if it were at 0.025%, it doesn't show in the hair molecule, blood, or urine. So, it stimulates it. We use terpenes, linalool, beta-carotene, and other terpenes to mock the synergy effect with the D9 molecule and the CBD to do its job. We don't have to worry about the D9 or the THC molecule.
I have a lot of questions even ask you. Like to me, it's fascinating because for the first year, I made a commitment to talk to as many people as I could, do as many case studies, right? And so many people say, I sleep so good. Now, I've never really had a problem with sleeping, but I've had a big issue with anxiety. And I want you to talk about these because, so I know that in my case studies, we ask these questions, but I've also, in just having conversation with people, I've said, have you ever taken melatonin? And they say, yes. And half of them, I say, how'd you feel about it? How'd you feel on it? I didn't like it at all. I had terrible dreams. And other people say, I slept great. And then I'll say, have you ever fallen asleep from, easily from like drinking wine? And they say, yes. And they say, what do you find that's similar to that with CBDs? And they say, I don't know. I don't feel like any of those. I don't feel like I've had a sleeping pill or melatonin. I just fall right to sleep.
Right, it's a deficiency. So that's part of the central nervous system or the immune system is deficient. And that insomnia and anxiety are both in the same character. It's a lack of blood flow.
Oh.
Part of the brain.
Oh.
If it's stimulated, then you automatically relax, and it's part of the GABA system, forces of excitation, forces of relaxation. There again, homeostasis, perfect balance. If you've got your GABA system that is unbalanced, then you've got forces of excitation that are overtaking the forces of relaxation. So they're out of balance. Same with anxiety. You've got forces of excitation and not enough balance over here of the GABA system or transmitters of the GABA or the neurotransmitters to balance out the relaxation. So the anxiety is high, the relaxation is over here. So once they come back into dynamic balance or homeostasis, which is just a deficiency, then it evens it back out. That's kind of it in a nutshell. Of course,
talk about like your frankincense. I mean, you import some incredible constituents in your product. Like, I think it's hilarious. Like I was talking to one of my customers. She had just called me, and I happened to be driving, and I was on my Bluetooth, and she's like, "I can't believe I don't have any anxiety anymore." And she just kept laughing. It was like such a different conversation. It's only been 3 weeks, but she happened to be at work, and she's just checking in with me, and I just happened to be driving. I picked up my phone, and she said, I just said, what did you take today? She said, no, I'm just like so happy. I feel so happy that I don't have anxiety. Every time I would go to work, it's so stressful here. And she said, I don't even feel the stress anymore at work.
See, and I carry it with me in the car because I was hit by the drunk driver. So if I start feeling that anxiety feeling coming on, I just put some on my wrist and drive, and within 5 minutes, it just subsides. It's just, and a lot of the essential oils, like you were saying, are first press. That goes along with everything else that's either pure or it's not. So the manufacturing facility goes straight to the harvester. So, for example, the helichrysum is a sought after oil in the world, and it's very, very expensive. We contract with we have a connection with the harvester direct in the mountains of Croatia. So we get it doesn't get any more pure than coming right from the plant to the source. So everything else is sourced in the United States, but the essential oils, the lavender comes from Bulgaria because it's the purest you can get. The Kunzea comes direct from New Zealand because, again, that's the purest you can get. And lavender and frankincense, you know, that's where you get Bulgaria. That's the first press purest you can get.
I'm so excited to send this replay out to the hundreds of clients. Like I know people are into instant access and they want to watch it later, want to watch it on the weekend, and just kind of how it goes with people now. But I'm always so proud when people reach out to me, and I mean the reoccurring orders that we get just from people that
93%, 90% order rate. Yeah,
it's so high, you know. And talk a little bit about the salve and the like how CBDs naturally support neuropathy, but I just can't believe the anxiety and the depression in people. I mean, I have such a love for youth. Like my three greatest passions are leadership and health and youth. And the suicide rate has been so high with our elderly and our youth. And all of the youth I've been able to support that have depression, and I could go on and on. I'm just so excited. We got some questions here I'm going to ask you. I'm curious to know what your experience are with rare diseases such as
I responded to that already. We really talk about each individual diagnosis today because we'd be here all night. But any, you know, I would recommend that if there is a specific diagnosis that you have questions about, this is
reach out.
Yeah,
We'll put you up.
I think you have a toll-free number, right? Or call BodyTemple and get a complimentary intake done. And if it is severe and chronic and you have tried other synthetic medications, and there again, it's usually the last, for a diagnosis like this, we're usually the last that they come to because they just don't have the education. And we'll be honest with you, very transparent if we can work with the certain receptors or not. I do have studies with those specific diagnoses though. So those two are safe. If he does an intake with you, that you'll end up on my calendar and we can work through that.
I can't believe how many people I've led to that have not been like a client. I mean, it's such an intimate relationship when you're coaching and a member, and I'd reach out and the first thing I say is, how you doing today? I'm okay. And then I'd say, what's going on? My aunt has, my sister has, my best friend has, my neighbor just left, my husband was diagnosed with. And at first I was conservative. And then I started hearing people respond. My neighbor is so, I mean, I think of Beth, that rare autoimmune disease, the three kids that she adopted that were handicapped, and the stress that took in her life, and how her autoimmune specialist was blown away over her blood work after being on that proprietary product.
It doesn't even surprise me anymore, Steve, because it's like every day, it's every single person. You know, when we started 20 years ago, I mean, I know that our technologies are by far and above a lot of the other people out there, just simply because we started, you know, almost 2 decades ago building this algorithm. But now it's almost like, oh, I'm not surprised. I already knew that. See, because we have scientific studies behind it now, backing all of these disorders. And quite frankly, it's a receptor system. We have it. We were born with it. And a lot of them mirror each other. So, for example, somebody that's got Parkinson's disorder, the same receptors cause another person to have Tourette syndrome. So it's all your physiology. So if you understand how the body interacts with the CB1 and CB2 receptors and the cannabinoids, our bodies produce anandamide and 2-AG. Those are not natural cannabinoids that we make every day.
It's so brilliant.
It's lacking. The older we get, the more efficient we get. The blood flow is not there like it used to be, and all we have to do is bridge that gap and get it back into dynamic balance.
I mean, this has been a gift from God, and I know you say that. You constantly always do the right things for the right reasons. But you know what I'm realizing? Well, first of all, I want to say, she said something earlier that I can't believe I have said, because there's still many, many, many of you listening, but not necessarily on the webcast. What I should have given you was our support email, support@BodyTempleLLC.com. You need help, need to send you the link, support@BodyTempleLLC.com. That would have probably simplified the whole process. What I think is incredible about you, and I just got it, there's a lot of scientists that study CBDs. There's a lot of doctors or naturopaths that provide CBDs. There's a lot of dispensaries and CBD stores and even companies that infuse their product with CBDs. But you are the only one that I know that has studied it, that experienced it to heal themselves, provided a product and a whole process and programs to help people transform their health. I don't know that I've ever thought about that before, my friend.
It's a not-for-profit, too. So, yeah, we do the right things for the right reasons, it all comes back around. You're right. There is nobody else that does proprietary formulations for the severe and chronic. They don't have the studies to back it if they do. I have to rub my eyes sometimes because blood, sweat, and tears. And when I say study, I don't mean an hour here, an hour there. I'm talking 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. The first decade that we had the books open, I've written. You've seen my binders.
I was just going to say that she's paperless, unlike me. And I remember walking in this office, and it was like it was, you would have thought it was 100 pounds of gold, because she has this glass. It's like this glass, what do I want to say? This glass case, and there's hardly anything in it. And there was this big, thick, I'm not talking like 2-inch, I'm talking like 5-inch binder. And I picked it up. I said, "Can I look at that?" And I said, "What is this?" She's like, "All my studies." And I was like, "You gotta be kidding me. This is like, you wrote all this?" "All my studies."
3 of them. 3 binders that big. Yeah.
It was.
Lots. I have a passion, and I'll call it an obsession, because they took my parents. I mean, I say that they took my dad at 59. He took his last breath at 64, but they started the slow death at the age of 59. And, that's my life. We used to camp, and we were rodeo together for 5 years, had matching quads.
I don't know that how, it is 7:23, and there's 211 that called in, and there's still 178. And then the same crew that are on the webinar listening. I don't think you really went into the full deal that happened to your dad, which he went in for routine surgery, and they hit an artery, and they had to life flight him from Payson, Arizona to Phoenix. And he woke up 6 months later with no legs.
Wow.
That's the storyline. And that was part of, the night before he passed away, he had been studying. And he was high all the time. He was on drugs. And he looked at his daughter and he said, "I did it all wrong." She goes, "What?" He said, I should have taken the wacky tobacco and CBDs. And that's where it started for her. She could not get that out of her mind. he ended up being the guardian angel that has led her to all this work that has impacted the lives of millions of people. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, family is everything. It was really a tough one to swallow. It was a senseless act that happened. And I know for sure, I would say 99%, if I would have known then what I know now, they'd still be here. I know that.
Yeah.
It's really hard. It's really hard to swallow. You know, senseless. All from big pharma. It's just senseless. It's not necessary.
You love your life. You've made such an impact, and
one family at a time, one person at a time. Pay it forward. If you know someone, please. This is a journey that's already mapped out. I look at myself back in the day, and I think of myself as one of those guys with a big machete trying to knock down all this grass and weeds and get a trail going. And this opportunity that you have before you right now with a life coach and somebody to go on the journey with, and a nutrition plan with the CBDs that are purest in the country. It's all right there for the taking. All you have to do is...
All came from you, boss. That, if you even knew, I mean, she started the whole movement, but she got the, I mean, there's a big difference between, oh my gosh, there's so much to say. I mean, there's so much to say. I mean, she got the start of the marijuana movement in Arizona, getting it and then knew she, in order to do the CBDs, what she thought originally, because it wasn't like really a big focus on hemp back then. And she kept saying those, because she had dispensaries and then she had clinics, and then she would educate people that came in to get their marijuana license, medical marijuana license, in the clinics, and she would sit down, or one of the reps would sit down and talk about CBDs and how to heal their body, or we'll say reverse their health condition. So she started that early, and I remember her coming to me saying, we would talk, and she'd say, these dispensary owners are just like crazy. She wanted out of it. She needed to start that to get everything moving, and then you sold it all and just really focused on your big vision, and you saw it from the beginning. It just started, it moved into hemp, and then all your work. So any other questions? I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Michael wants to know about neuropathy, CBDs and neuropathy. Can you wrap it up with that question?
Sure. So just in a nutshell, again, it's usually from a traumatized area. I imagine it's in the feet. It's really hard for me to dial in for one diagnosis, because we go through a 2-page intake for diagnosis, because it depends on what the onset was, how old they are, what their diet is, what medications they're taking. Are you taking gabapentin, or otherwise known as gabapentin? I forgot what the generic name is for it, but you can start with the kunzea and the derm. Infuse on the bottom of the feet for now, but it's like a myelin sheath. And what's happening, a way to explain it is a piece of wire, and it has the plastic coating over it, and the wires underneath. Well, with neuropathy, what's happening is that plastic coating is gone, and all the nerves are exposed. So we can help to grow that back. You have to build the mitochondria that in turn, the mitochondria is decaying usually in that case. And then once you get the blood flow and oxygen going to that traumatized area, the mitochondria then can build the stem cells and blast cells and start making healthy tissue again. But right now with neuropathy, the sheath is open, and it's very, very painful. So to start with that, if you want some immediate relief, get some kunzea and some derm and put that on the bottom of the feet. I'm assuming that's what we're talking about. And start with that, and then call in as soon as possible for an intake with BodyTemple. And we work with neuropathy all the time, daily almost, I would say.
They thought I'd have to have surgery on my tear. And that whole process you put me through with the oil and my naturopath and my chiropractor and my massage therapist couldn't believe how quick I healed.
It's a blessing. It is. I'm very glad.
Okay. You're going to get the pay it forward, or excuse me, you're going to get the pay it forward. You're going to get the replay tomorrow. Pay it forward. Think about who you know that you might be able to bless with this interview with Sheila Gogley. I think you're at the end of your 2.5 weeks of being out of town, and you're not even in your phenomenal Zen office. And I can't believe you agreed to do this tonight. You're such a beautiful, beautiful soul. It's on my heart.
All right, my friends. God bless. Take care. Have a great night.
Amazing. Love and success, everybody.
Bye, guys.
BodyTempleLOC.com.